Tron stands alone. There's nothing to compare Tron to.
Hello all my scuzzy and non-scuzzy viewers. I'd like to talk to you about a little movie called Tron. It premiered in 1982 to mixed reception.
I don't know, I didn't understand most of it.
I rate the strengths in the use of the computers and the graphics, and the weaknesses in the actual storyline itself.
I thought it was really great.
Strange story?
Yeah.
Strange story. Inside a computer? It's weird.
Tron is a religious experience. I'm not kidding. This video will dive deep into the world of Tron to explain why. The revelations you'll experience in this review will have you hollering like Jeff Bridges. This movie topic was recommended by viewers like you. Thank you. And if you end up liking this video, consider becoming a channel member. I really appreciate it. Tron is what we call an isekai. A character from our world is transported to another more fantastical world. In this case, it's the programmer Flynn that gets transported to the computer world. He worked at Encom until his co-worker Dillinger stole his video games and kicked him out of the company. So Flynn hacks into Encom to find the evidence to expose him. However, the system's malevolent master control program transports him into the computer world to destroy him. With the help of the programs Tron, Yori, and Ram, Flynn takes down the MCP and gets the evidence he needs. Before we get to the religious stuff, let's first go over the characters and the world building. Flynn is a genius programmer, able to hack into Encom and challenge the MCP. He's also a gamer.
Hello, my fellow gamers!
Not only is he good at playing video games, he invented a bunch of very popular titles. These games were so good, Dillinger stole them and rocketed himself to the top of Encom. When Flynn is transported to the computer world, he uses his gaming knowledge to his advantage.
We're gonna make you play video games.
I play video games better than anybody.
Although, the act of physically playing these games versus controlling a game sprite would be so disparate as to be entirely unhelpful. The movie kind of takes this into account.
On the other side of the screen, it all looks so easy.
But not really. Personality-wise, Flynn's a funny guy.
He's a funny guy!
He likes goofing around and cracking wise. He's also confident to the point of smug. It makes him a little insufferable, but also slow to give up, even when things seem hopeless.
Like a man says, there's no problems, only solutions.
Leave me alone. We failed.
We're only gonna fail if we give up, now come on!
And he's a stand-up guy. He may want to take down the MCP for personal reasons, but he still cares about the fate and well-being of others. During the ring game, when he learns winning means killing an innocent program, he refuses. And after Ram is injured during a tank attack, he does what he can to help him. After he dies, Flynn somberly delivers the news to Tron. With the understanding that Ram and Crom are programs, you might expect a programmer to dismiss them as not really people. But Flynn doesn't do that. Whether it's because, within the computer world, programs seem no different from living, breathing humans, or if it's because he's a bleeding heart, Flynn cares.
Oh.
Flynn is friends with Alan and Laura. Alan wants to take down the MCP, and created the Tron program to do it. Laura helped develop a laser that digitizes physical objects. She's also no fan of Dillinger, and is on board with ousting him from Encom. Flynn, Alan, and Laura have an interesting dynamic, to say the least. Laura is currently dating Alan, but used to be with Flynn.
Flynn had access to you too.
Alan's clearly salty about Flynn and Laura's entanglement.
I got into an entanglement with
Flynn.
There's still animosity between Alan and Flynn, at least from Alan's side. Flynn doesn't seem to care, as befits his personality. Laura, however, holds no animosity towards him. Well, until Flynn and Alan start dogging on her.
She still leave her clothes all over the floor?
Flynn.
No.
Alan!
Well, I mean, not that often.
Now you can see why all of his friends are 14 years old.
Touche.
Women.
You'd expect this dynamic to yield a lot of conflict, but to the contrary, Alan is willing to put aside their differences to take down Dillinger and the MCP. Laura clearly isn't interested in getting back with Flynn, and while Flynn does flirt with her, he never actually puts the moves on her.
You are gonna stay with me, Miranda. I'm scared of the dark, all this technology scares me. Come on, baby.
Or does he? In all seriousness, Flynn seems content to let Alan and Laura remain a happy couple, resulting in a surprisingly stable dynamic. Things get kinda weird though once he enters the computer world. He meets Tron and Yori, who basically act as counterparts to Alan and Laura. Without their equivalents' complicated history, Flynn and Tron get on just fine, united by a desire to take down the MCP. When Flynn meets Yori, he basically starts flirting with her immediately.
So, nice looking ship you got here. Are we there yet, Mommy?
Mommy, sorry. Mom, sorry. I'm not gonna say it. Mommy.
That sparks a moment of potential conflict, but it's dropped immediately and isn't brought up again. During the climax, Tron is separated from them and presumed dead. It's a moment that happens so abruptly and quickly that I totally missed it my first watch through. It seems to only exist so Yori and Flynn can share a romantic kiss, without the baggage of intentional infidelity. Damn, Yori, it's been a couple minutes and you've already moved on? Flynn and Yori have barely interacted at this point, so this progression doesn't feel natural, and when Flynn leaves the computer world, she immediately runs back to Tron.
We thought you were dead.
So what are we supposed to take from this strange quasi-love triangle?
I don't know.
Let's set the stage. What is the world of Tron like? Or should I say worlds? We have the real world, inhabited by users, and the computer world, inhabited by programs. In the real world, Encom is a huge company that's cracked the ability to digitize real-world objects. But no one treats it like the monumental innovation it really is.
A laser dismantles the molecular structure of the object. Then, when the computer plays out the model, like the molecules fall back into place, and voila!
Great. Can it send me to Hawaii?
Being a little casual there, aren't we? Is this just another Monday in this universe? Anyway, the computer world is a whole nother story. It has its own incredibly unique aesthetic. The movie accomplishes this via live-action, 3D animation, 2D animation, and something called backlighting.
We were excited about backlit animation, which was mats with light shining directly into the lens of the camera and the light would be diffused. They were using it as an effect to make things glow and pulse and logos. What we did was we tried to do a character that was backlit. John did a drawing of a line character, and then we transferred it to Codalith and we backlit it. And that test was this liquid neon character. And since he was electronic, we nicknamed him Tron.
And that was the start. He was thinking, yeah, we could do a whole backlit character and the whole movie could be like that. And that was sort of the germ of it, was just light on black.
What was staggering was the actual technique that we finally used, which was to blow up every single frame of 75 minutes of film and then treat a live-action movie like an animated movie.
You photograph the actors in basically a white costume against black. You photograph that onto black and white.
Once we had the photography, then those individual frames of film were put into two photorotoscope machines. That is basically takes the film, projects it down onto a new piece of film. The live-action footage is projected on that, and then this large piece of film is put through a processor to make high-con film. So for each one of those frames, we made X number of high-con positives and negatives. There were basically, for each live-action character, an exposure for the main body, there was an exposure for the circuits, there was an exposure for the whites of the eyes and the whites of the teeth, maybe one other pass. So it was roughly 5 passes per character.
The simplest one would be 6, 7 layers deep. The most complex one could be 25, 30 layers deep.
The high-con and the continuous tone film was a special edition that Kodak made for us, because nobody has ever done a film like that before and nobody ever will again.
Despite the poorly aged CG, and the janky way actors are transposed onto 3D backgrounds, I think the overall aesthetic holds up. You might even argue its flaws help sell the idea this all takes place in the computer, and it was definitely a huge accomplishment for its time.
We were not nominated for a Special Effects Academy Award because basically the Academy thought we cheated when we used computers to do special effects. Things have certainly changed since then.
The computer world has quirky, computery versions of real-world things.
Who does he calculate he is?
For example, in the computer world, programs don't die, and objects aren't destroyed. They're de-resed, short for de-resolution. And things aren't created, they're resed.
Who are all these weirdos?
Inoperative data pushers.
A data pusher is a program that pushes data from one system to another. They're basically messengers.
There isn't another junction for 7 or 8 nanoseconds.
A nanosecond is 1,000 millionth of a second. So yeah, a really short amount of time. This seems to suggest that time runs much faster in the computer world. Although the end of the movie implies otherwise. Flynn enters the computer world in the middle of the night. When he returns, he gets a printout that seems to say it's 6 in the morning, which implies both worlds run in real time. The sequel clarifies this. In terms of societal structure, the computer world is modeled after, well, computers.
All these things were really inspiring, and we kept listening to the way computers were designed to look for equivalents in terms of story, in terms of societal structure.
This also fed into the movie's main conflict.
What would be the champion in the future? Would it be the mainframe or the personal computer? It was kind of like an authoritarian government versus a democratic government. And I think that's one of the main themes that was dealt with in Tron.
The MCP is akin to a tyrant, attempting to gain supreme control by force.
Another free program offline.
My user has information that could make this a free system again. And no MCP looking over your shoulder.
To achieve that control, the MCP suppresses programs' ability to communicate. That's why the data pushers are inoperative, and access to the I/O towers are tightly restricted. To the MCP, everything should go through him. Only he gets the privilege of free communication. It's only after the MCP is defeated that programs regain the freedoms once stolen from them.
Look at the I/O towers. Every tower is lighting up.
If you like the video so far, and you're interested in getting more out of the channel, you can become a member. Just hit join below. For $1, you get access to custom emojis and members-only polls. For $3, you get access to members-only videos and end-of-video shoutouts. So consider becoming a channel member today. I appreciate your support. Now back to the video. You thought I was kidding about the religious themes, didn't you? Nope. Here we go. The very first thing the movie shows us is a digital landscape transitioning into a city at night. The movie also ends on this same imagery. This symbolizes how the real world and the computer world are intrinsically connected. This connection is so integral to the story, the movie makes it the first and last things we see. It's made even more explicit in the movie's alternate opening. These connections run deep. There are inextricable ties between users and their programs.
You know, you can remove men like Alan and me from the system, but we helped create it. And our spirit remains in every program we design for this computer.
Said programs are endowed with the spirits of their creators. Throughout the movie, this takes on many forms. Most obviously, programs resemble the users that wrote them. Clue looks like Flynn, Tron looks like Alan, Yori looks like Laura, Dumont looks like Gibbs, Sark looks like Dillinger, and the MCP shares Dillinger's voice, though distorted.
You shouldn't have come back, Flynn. That can be arranged, Walter.
But it goes further than mere looks. There's the sense that programs' personalities mimic those of their users. For example, the MCP uses video game enemies as his security. Like Dillinger, the MCP stole Flynn's creations to put himself in power. You see, they're both assholes. Their greed drives them to immoral action.
It's my fault I programmed you to want too much.
Alan and Laura are romantically involved. So too are their programs, Tron and Yori. And just as Laura had feelings for Flynn, so does Yori, though she doesn't understand why.
She's a version of me who knows some of the things that the Laura character in the real world knew, but is probably an innocent to many things because she lives in this isolated computer environment. She has no life experiences that Laura has, but she has some of Laura's feelings, some of Laura's emotions. So when I run into the Jeff Bridges character, I recognize him, there's an attraction, but I don't know why.
This brings into question the humanness of the programs. They're people, yet they aren't.
I thought he did a great job in walking that fine line of not being like a kind of a robot, but adding a certain degree of humanity to the part of Tron.
Despite being made of code, they're still living, breathing creatures.
And what I did was, knowing anatomy, I concentrated the circuitry to be a reflection of the nervous system that runs the muscle structure.
There's even the implication they age. Gibbs founded Encom years ago, yet his program Dumont matches his current appearance. He doesn't look like a young version of him. The sequel changed its mind about that one. There's an interesting trend of programs initially acting robotic.
Do you think we can merge with this memory bit?
But displaying more personality over time.
Forget it, Mr. High and Mighty Master Control! You are making me talk!
When we first meet Yori, she monotonously recites her status report to Tron, as if she doesn't even see him. It's only after a moment that recognition sets in, and her speech becomes more natural and emotional. There's actually a deleted scene where she interacts quite intimately with Tron.
It really added a lot to the show, and I thought it was whimsical, it was romantic, it was cute, it was a little bit sexy.
I think that was very confusing, because we weren't people.
and we're supposed to do something that's kind of, were these people sexual? Are these beings sexual?
During the climax, when they think Tron's dead, Flynn and Yori kiss. When Yori reunites with Tron, they too share a kiss, and Tron has an interesting reaction.
It's nice.
It's as if he never knew what a kiss was until Yori taught him, who in turn was taught by Flynn.
You are gay.
Demonstrating how users are the source of the program's humanity.
Now, if you're a computer scientist and you log a program into a computer, what happens is this: you end up inadvertently putting a piece of yourself into the program. Some of your memories, some of your thoughts, some of the things you wish you could do and you never really did. And what happens is this program becomes a separate living entity in this parallel world, and it looks just like you.
Every one of us is in that computer somewhere, whether it's because of our driver's license or social security or income tax, but the fact is that there is an alternate person that is an electrical person that is forming inside this electrical dimension.
What does any of this have to do with religion, you may ask? To the programs, the users are their creators, who made them in their image and endowed them with souls. They are their gods.
You believe in the users?
Yeah, sure. If I don't have a user, then who wrote me?
Oh, my user. Users.
Even Sark the Sadist can't help treating the users reverently.
Users wrote us. The user even wrote you.
For man to challenge God is evidently absurd. For a program to challenge a user is the same. Partly because, by their nature, programs wish to serve users.
All programs have a desire to be useful.
He was just a boy in service. So if you are in service and you see a great leader like Tron, you follow that great leader for the service of mankind.
Simply communicating with the user is enough to make a program exultant.
Tron, location query. Confirm.
Confirmed, Alan 1.
Ram is able to die happy knowing that the users do exist and that he got to meet one.
Are you a user?
#ReresRam. Programs communicate with users via I/O towers.
And there were also these other aspects of, how the users communicated with the programs. This, sort of had a parallel with some sort of like a religious experience of this world communicating with these large controlling forces.
They're treated much like temples, where people can commune with their gods. Dumont acts like a priest, only allowing programs to enter after reciting something like a prayer.
Alan 1. He calls me. May I pass?
All that is visible must grow beyond itself and extend into the realm of the invisible. You may pass, my friend.
When Tron talks to Alan, he holds up his ID disc beneath a beam of light and hears a voice in the sky. It's very much like hearing the voice of God. The MCP plays an interesting role in this metaphor. He kidnaps programs and pressures them into recanting their belief in the users. Those that don't are assimilated into himself, or are doomed to death in the games.
You guys are gonna make my user, Mr. Henderson, very angry.
Great. Another religious nut.
Those of you who continue to profess a belief in the users will receive the standard, substandard training, which will result in your eventual elimination.
We have purposely trained him wrong, as a joke.
I'm taking our friend here and some other religious fanatics to master control.
The MCP wants programs to lose faith, to give up on the users.
Really think the users are still there?
They'd better be. I don't want to bust out of here and find nothing but a lot of cold circuits waiting for me.
If the users can no longer help us, we're lost.
The MCP knows the users are real, so why does he want to discourage other programs believing in them? Because he wants to usurp them. He wants to take their place. The MCP controls access to the I/O towers, to the temples, because he wants to restrict free worship. His goal is to supplant the users. He wants the programs to believe in him, to worship him, and only him.
All programs have a desire to be useful, but in moments you will no longer seek communication with each other or your superfluous users. You will each be part of me, and together we will be complete.
In the MCP's pursuit to replace the users, he grows ever more powerful. It gets to the point that he's able to boss around Dillinger, his creator.
Mr. Dillinger, I'm so very disappointed in you.
I'm sorry.
That just makes you a beta cuck.
He even blackmails Dillinger into going along with his dirty work.
Guess what? What? Yep. You want to get in my way? Want to get in my way again?
He comes to think himself superior to users.
I was planning to hit the Pentagon next week.
Pentagon?
Turn on the TV, they hit the Pentagon! They hit the fucking Pentagon! Turn on TV, it doesn't matter what channel.
But now this is what I get for using humans.
I wrote you.
I've gotten 2,415 times smarter since then. With the information I can access, I can run things 900 to 1,200 times better than any human.
Users wrote us. The user even wrote you.
No one user wrote me. I'm worth millions of their man years.
The MCP's actions are in stark contrast to the natural order of things. Programs are meant to serve users, not the other way around.
Some programs will be thinking soon.
Won't that be grand? Computers and the programs will start thinking and the people will stop.
The MCP is the most efficient way of handling what we do. I can't sit here and worry about every little user request that comes in.
User requests are what computers are for.
The MCP seeking to usurp the users is akin to man seeking to usurp God. It's hubris of the highest degree. In this metaphor, Flynn is the Messiah.
Jesus, man.
No, seriously. He's a user, which we've established are akin to gods for the programs. He travels down from the real world to the computer world, with the goal of liberating them all from the tyranny of the MCP, arriving just as Ram and Tron are beginning to lose faith in the users. It's like fate, or divine intervention. And he's essentially different from the programs.
Something different about him.
This takes multiple forms. For one, he's able to think outside the box in ways programs seemingly can't.
How did you do that?
Elementary physics, a beam of energy can always be diverted.
As a user, he views the computer world differently from the programs that live in it. He also possesses unique powers. He doesn't de-res in situations a program normally would.
Is he de-resing?
No, but I couldn't tell you why not.
He can take control of and reassemble a recognizer.
You shouldn't be able to do that. Now for some real user power.
He's able to disguise himself as an enemy guard. He can redirect the transport beam with his bare hand. And he stops Yori from de-resing.
You brought me back. How?
As a Messiah figure, Flynn must sacrifice himself to free the programs. He throws himself into the MCP's beam, an act that would typically kill a program. But as a user, Flynn's fate is different. He creates the opening Tron needs to take down the MCP. Then he ascends upwards, back to the real world. Metaphorically, Flynn is a god come to Earth in the form of a mortal. He sacrifices himself to make up for the evil committed by a particular mortal, resulting in his death and ascension back to heaven. He's basically Gamer Jesus, more or less. Finally, let's talk about the ID disk, one of the most important objects in the computer world.
You will each receive an identity disk. Everything you do or learn will be imprinted on this disk.
They represent the self in an interesting way. They're simultaneously a source of knowledge, a shield, and a weapon.
The disc was this idea that it is your digital persona. If you study Joseph Campbell and you study Carl Jung, so much of that points back to the symbol of the mandala, the symbol of the self, okay? To me, it was a kind of spiritual weapon, if you will.
Well, mandala is just one typical archetypal form. And it either expresses the deity or the soul. And these two terms are psychologically very much related. And it is a very important archetype. It's the archetype of an inner order. When there is good, disorder, and chaos in man's mind, then this symbol can appear. There is continuity affairs as a compensatory archetype, bringing order.
The ID disk proves to be an especially important tool in the hands of Tron. He's a program dedicated to the users and enacting their will. When he communes with Alan, Tron's ID disk is gifted data capable of erasing the MCP and freeing the system.
This is the key to a new order. This code disk means freedom.
He's like a divine champion or a holy warrior chosen by God. His ID disk, the representation of the self, is imbued with power and purpose bestowed to him by God. It's for that reason he's able to defeat Sark and bring down the MCP. Now, this religious metaphor isn't perfect. It doesn't match up to real-world parallels one-to-one. Flynn may be Gamer Jesus, but his story doesn't follow Jesus's one-to-one. And on top of that, the religion in the film is polytheistic rather than monotheistic. So a lot of my comparisons aren't exact one-to-one. And more specifically, there's one instance in particular that had me scratching my noggin. When Flynn reveals to Tron that he's a user, Tron says,
But if you are a user, and everything you've done has been according to a plan, right?
But you guys know what it's like. You just keep doing what it looks like you're supposed to be doing, no matter how crazy it seems.
Well, that's the way it is for programs, yes.
I hate to disappoint you, pal, but most of the time that's the way it is for users, too.
Tron learns that users aren't the perfect, omniscient entities he thought they were. And on top of that life does not go according to some grand plan. This idea isn't really explored. I'm not sure how this plays into the whole religious metaphor, and Tron has a pretty mild reaction to the revelation. It doesn't impact his faith in the users at all. All that aside, what purpose does this metaphor serve in the narrative? I think it's largely meant to play into themes regarding the dangers and responsibilities of technology. We pour our information, ourselves, into computers. We created them, and they learn from us, so it's our responsibility to lead them in positive ways, and not let them lead us.
And it was the idea that people were really scared of technology. I'm scared of technology. The only way to get around that fear is to get it before it gets you. And I don't mean that in a negative sense, but I mean to approach it in an open-minded, positive way. The best way to predict the future is to create it.
The dynamic between Dillinger and the MCP stands as a warning. He creates this program and uses it irresponsibly, and then becomes content hoisting more and more power and responsibility onto it, to the point that he stops thinking, and the MCP starts. This results in the MCP rebelling against his creator, upsetting the proper order, and bringing chaos to both the computer world and the real world. It's proven to be a surprisingly timeless message. While Tron deals with a lot of interesting ideas, the movie still has its issues on a basic writing level. Awkward dialogue.
You're very persistent, Tron!
I'm also better than you.
Sudden shifts in character motivation.
And you've been in the system as long as I have. You hear many promises, many brave plans.
Please, Dumont. The guards are coming.
There they are, with the Guardian.
All right, Yuri.
Contrivance.
When I disembark, this ship and everything that remains on board will automatically de-res.
And plot points that go nowhere.
Boy, you forget how good the power feels till you get to a pure source.
Still, it's a movie with fascinating themes, unique world building, and a cool aesthetic. I definitely recommend giving it a watch.
What's amazing to me is that Tron wasn't a huge success.
It was almost too far ahead of its time. I think audiences just couldn't connect to the notion of users and programs.
But then, of course, it became this cult classic afterward, largely because of the risks they took.
It's a movie that people appreciate much more now with the benefit of history.
Thanks for watching, with special thanks to channel members Whatever and Valkaz. I love you guys are cool. If you want to be cool too, consider becoming a channel member. For $1, you get access to custom emojis and members-only posts. For $3, you get members-only videos and, of course, end-of-video shoutouts. Let me know if there's something else you'd like to see me cover. If I see any overwhelming demand for something, I'll definitely consider it. Until then, check out my other stuff. I've done an in-depth review of Daredevil Born Again if you're interested. Till next time.